Real quick before we get into this video, a message from our sponsor, Freedom Parts Outlet. We are doing a 20% Labor Day sale. We got a ton of cool stuff up on the website, including all sorts of stuff to fix your new Edge, S197, and whatever Mustang. So definitely go down to freedompartsoutlet.com, enter code LABORDAY20. That's for this weekend only, 20% off site-wide. I know we have a Racecraft Tubular K member up there. We got some Ford Racing sway bars for S197. I have a page on there that has aftermarket Ford parts, so it has all the cool kid stuff. We're also adding stuff to it daily. Kristen and Michelle, that's their full-time job. They got these photo areas right over here. Take photos of every single product, get up on the website, and then we ship out every day. So let's hop into the video. What is going on, guys? We are back with the Predator blower swapped Terminator Cobra. I know some of these titles trigger you guys, but Predator blower swapped, whatever you want to call it. It's got a 2020 GT500 blower on a Gen 1 Coyote, and this thing is getting pretty quick. So we had a pretty successful track outing after having some alternator issues. The car went 10.5, 134. Really good. This is a stock pulley. This is the slowest this combo is going to get. Now, we started to see some major flaws with our current cooling system. We have an 07 to 12 GT500 heat exchanger. We have a 1314 intercooler pump. We have a stock intercooler in the blower. So I figured, stock boost, it might be all right. Now this thing basically started to rise in temperature during the quarter-mile pass in the pulls, similar to what a Terminator Cobra with a Kenny Bell or an Eaton or one of those hotter style blowers, this thing just started to skyrocket. And I'm going to show you a data log from a few of the passes here very soon, and you guys will be able to see that. I was actually slightly concerned that we might melt down a piston because it got so hot. It also might be pulling some power away on the top end of the track. Because we trapped 134, car's moving, but yeah, the temps are not great. So we definitely need to get those down before we start adding some more boost, because I want to get this thing in the 9s, and we need to add some boost, but we gotta have this thing cool first. All right, guys, let's talk data. So this right here, we got SCT Live Link. It's just a way to view some data logs. This is the data log from the end gauge from the day at the track. This is my 10.7 at 134 pass. I will say we're still working on some shifting things. Having this car on a 26-inch tire and 373 in the rear, it makes the trans do funky things. So we're gonna obviously address those issues, but let's talk about temps. So since I am using a relocated IAT, so my IAT that's in the map in the cold air intake has been rerouted to IAT2. We're gonna be looking at our IAT reading right here. Do note this is not the reading at the cold air intake. We unfortunately do not have a reading there because we took it out of the map and put it into the supercharger lid, which is post intercooler. That's our IAT sensor right there. It's actually the factory location for the 2020 GT500 post intercooler IAT, so manifold charge temperature. There's also, on a 2020 GT500, they also have a pre-IAT, so that will give you your intake air temperature as it goes into the rotors and goes out. Unfortunately, we're using a Gen 1 control pack, so we don't have all the data. It's important to point those things out. So here is quarter-mile pass, starting out at 0 miles an hour, running it up to a max speed of 139, and we trapped 134, so we went a little faster than needed. Now, let's talk IAT. So you can see IAT right here. Let's go ahead and bring that right up there. So we can kind of step through this run. We did start out pretty hot. I mean, it was hot at the track. I wasn't necessarily hot lapping it, but we're trying to go, you know, as quick as possible. Starting at the run at 122, not ideal. We would really rather be somewhere around ambient. We're nowhere near ambient, and ambient was probably 90 to 100 degrees. Humidity is also a factor to take into account. But as we start the run, here we're at 0. Obviously we also did a burnout, so you have your temp rise after the burnout. So we see 122, 140, 150 by 70 miles an hour. That is not good. 150 IAT2 by less than the 8th is really bad. So we trapped 108 miles an hour on this run. And right there. So we are already, by the 8th mile, we're at the point where you see 160 IAT2 on a boosted car, go ahead and lift. I was watching it, and well, I kind of said, I really want to just stay in it. If it burns a piston down, it does. Luckily we are on E85, but notice here, 165 holds for a little bit, starts creeping up, then it gets pretty dang hot. So you can see we hit our peak, our max speed, 139 at just about 170 IAT2, and then it does recover. It does recover, you know. We were able to get down to 140 fairly quickly, and then probably by the time I stopped the data logger, we were back down to that 120. So you can see that the intercooler system is working, you know, obviously, because we were able to cool those charge temperatures back down to where it was. But really, this is a major problem that needs to be addressed. So that is what we're hopefully going to try to solve with first the heat exchanger, 2 probably the Whipple intercooler, and then eventually a bigger pump and larger lines, 1-inch lines. So this is kind of our baseline, and let's go check another log. I have the 10.5 pass, which was actually with a little bit cooler weather. It started to cool down as that storm rolled in. We were getting some cooler weather. Now, the question is, did we have a cooler run? For curiosity's sake, we started out 115 degrees, right around here, and you can see we went up to 120, back down to 118. This is the burnout right here. And let's talk about the quarter mile pass. So, pull the data, and let's see. Graph IAT, same thing, 118, drastically comes up by the 8th mile, 108 miles an hour, we're already at 160. Keep her going to our max speed of 140, right at 170. Ideally, we would want to be hitting a peak of like 120 degrees here. So that is not good. High temps are bad for horsepower. They are bad for your engine, and that run on 93 or race gas or something non-ethanol based would have melted a piston. I also told Rob to decrease the spark reducer table because we were having issues where the car only wanted to give it 12, 14 degrees of timing, even though we were trying to throw a 21 at it. So obviously, knowing what I know about temps and everything, I knew that there was definitely a risk of damaging this. Luckily, everything's still healthy. We actually took this out for a rip the other day, took Brad for a ride. Feels awesome, but temps need to be addressed. That's why we're throwing this heat exchanger in. The Whipple intercooler's up next, and hopefully getting a bigger pump and lines here pretty soon. But let's hopefully see if we can get some better data. I want to do somewhat of an apples to apples comparison, so we'll try to get another quarter mile run. I don't know if it'll be at the track or street. Ideally at the track, but it's really hard for me to make it down to a regular test in 2 night, and yeah, so we'll see how it goes. So you guys are looking at stage 1 and stage 2 cooling mods. We're going to be doing the Department of Boost Super Single Heat Exchanger. This is significantly larger than what we have there. You can see it's a nice thick core. Obviously water volume is going to be quite a bit up. This will actually fit GT500, your 3-valve swap cars with superchargers, and you can fit this on a stock 0304 Cobra. This is actually a really good option because most 0304 Cobra upgraded heat exchangers are small, like this. This is much larger. Now, how are we gonna fit this on this car? We got the MAF Racing tubular front bumper support, and it has GT500 mounts right here. So it makes it super easy to go ahead and mount up this heat exchanger to this car, and obviously lines are fairly simple. So like I said, this is stage 1. I'm gonna be talking a little bit more later about some different things we can do to upgrade to get even more water flow. Our stage 2 of this kind of setup is going to be the Whipple intercooler. This is the 2020 GT500 Whipple intercooler, and we have the water manifold as well. This is going to be another video. I wanted to go ahead and do an apples to apples comparison. Everything exactly the same, just with the upgraded heat exchanger. We'll go out and try some polls, do some data logs, and try to compare some data. I think this unit right here, and this is not the one that's on the car, but it's the same heat exchanger. I have 2 of them. So we're gonna be pulling that off. I'm gonna pull the bumper and start getting this thing ready to, you know, get some better cooling ability. Now, one other benefit, right now, you can't even really see the black heat exchanger. It's so small. Now, it's gonna have a nice look, the heat exchanger poking through that grill. It's definitely going to be obvious that it is now boosted. So one thing a lot of people don't talk about with supercharger setups and air-to-water setups like this is cooling. Water flow is extremely important, so your intercooler pump. A lot of 0304 Cobra guys, they're stuck in the past. They want to use these old little heat exchangers that they buy for $200, and with their $500 mount, by the way, 0304 Cobra, heat exchanger mounts are like $500, but they want to stick to these really small ones. They want to stick to the stock style pump, and getting that water flow up there, getting a large surface area for your air to flow through and cool, as well as getting some volume of water. So more water volume there to help cool. The other thing that we will be doing later is getting some larger diameter lines. Typically a lot of cars run a 3/4 inch hose, basically all the way around. Getting up to like a 1 inch is going to drastically help increase your cooling ability. We're gonna keep it with a 3/4 inch line for now, but we will be slowly stepping it up and trying to improve this cooling system. The cool thing about this video and everything I'm showing you here is it's adaptable to 0304 Cobra. It's adaptable to any Saleen style, you know, air to water setup, like the Saleen old blowers that are known for heat soak, you know, the new edge ones, as well as 3-valve, any sort of 3-valve supercharger setup, GT500, and really all this information is universally true for any car, not just Mustangs. First modification I had to make, just deleted the support bar. Alright, back to test fitting. Alright, so MAF Racing does offer powder coating, but they didn't have it in stock right then and there, so I'm just going to throw some roll bar black on this. Paint doesn't matter too much because it sits behind the bumper, but this does look pretty good, and this makes it super easy to go ahead and bolt on the heat exchanger. So huge shout out to MAF Racing, check them out. Small business, so definitely help support them. And I think these things are pretty nice kits for you know, the Cobra to be able to fit a much larger heat exchanger on. So USA made, and yeah, they have these in stock. Okay, so what I'm doing right here, this is 1" to 3/4 adapters. We will be able to run the 1" later, but for right now we're just going to keep it 3/4" line. And this is what comes with the kit, so we're just going to do that, so that way we can hook up to our existing intercooler lines that we have. Alright, so I just want to test bumper fitment before putting some water in it and testing out the system. Bumper fitment looks good. I haven't even had to cut anything. You can see that big heat exchanger behind there. Bumper's not bolted in, but we're pretty much lined up. There. Everything fits up over here nice. Because we got the intercooler pump now kind of down in this section, and we got one line coming off over there, and we have this heat exchanger sitting and filling up this whole space. So looks like pretty much bolt on. So let's put some water in it and test it out. Alright, so we just got wrapped up with the super single heat exchanger install. I'll say that looks a lot better there. 1314 intercooler pump, 3/4" lines. Like I said, this is like stage one. So when I put this all together, I realized it was really hard to get it primed. And Jason at Department of Boost, he said that you need to bypass the reservoir. So this is actually, I used the diagram from a 1314 GT500, and basically mimicked that routing. And we put a 3/4" T down here and here, because what was happening is it was getting too much flow in here, and then basically airlocking the system when it would turn off, making it basically impossible to prime. So we should have quite a bit better cooling system. We have the Whipple intercooler to do later, but this is still the stock Predator intercooler. But that is the T system. I do have a battery relocation, which will help clean up a lot of different things, and I still kind of want to move that or a larger tank over to here, make things simpler. That's why, you know, this might not be the most appealing look, but we're just trying to make it work for now. There's a lot of stuff that will change over time with this setup, but it looks really good. So I think I'm gonna go try some hits. Does look like there's some rain over there, so we can give it a try. You know, try to avoid the rain, and see what the temps look like. So far, 93 IAT. Just about up to temp. We'll probably do 2-3 hits. 2 or 3. See what happens. Alright, so on the street, pretty hot out today. 91 IAT2. It only got up to 130 and it's quickly recovering. It's at 108, 106, 104. And we'll look at this log afterwards. So that's the first hit though. I mean, there's no heat in the system. So we're gonna go turn right around and make another hit and see what it does. Before, we were climbing so fast towards 160, 170 degrees that it was unsafe for the engine. That felt pretty quick. Although we went for a ride in the GT500 this morning, and I mean, that's a lot slower. But look, we're at 99 IAT. That's pretty good.
Yeah, today's very hot, very humid. We had a heat index somewhere between 100 and 107 today, so.
Wow, we're already down at 97. Obviously, like the best test, apples to apples, is going to be at the track. Obviously, same day, not possible. But we're trying to give it similar conditions. That last pass that we made, it cooled down just a little bit, but it didn't work. You know, getting up to 170. I also wonder that without having the T, even with the system the way it was before, it potentially could be causing issues. So we might have changed 2 things. We tried to only change 1 thing, but we did change 2 things. So, but dude, we're already at 100. This thing feels fast. Like,
it does.
It's quick. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that. I mean, like, before we were kind of just like one hit wonder and then we were done. So, I mean, now it's like... That's pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah, I'm stuck to the seat.
Alright, well, I got a log of that, and it is looking so much better. So, you guys have the Terminator Cobra. Regardless of what engine is in it, it's supercharged. You can definitely check out this heat exchanger, the map racing tubular front end. It works. This will also work for a GT500, Coyote, 3-valve, Department of Boost kits. This heat exchanger works for all sorts of stuff. So I'll drop a link in the description. We'll head back, look over the data logs a little bit, and then we'll see you guys in the next video. But let's go check those logs out. Alright, so as a quick recap, this is our last quarter-mile pass. They were all pretty similar, but let's look at IAT. Starting out the run, 118, 120, that's the lowest I could get it. We went up to, and this is from 0, so do remember that. 0 miles an hour right there. By the quarter mile, we were already toast. So 108 miles an hour right here, 163, and you can see this drastic climb all the way up to 165, 171. So that's our pass. That's what we talked about at the beginning of this video. Here, make sure we're looking at the right log. Yep. So we started it at 50. So remember, not 0, 50. So this does have a slight advantage. It's not apples to apples, but 93 starting. You can see that IAT does rise, and then it kind of flatlined. This is what I saw in the car. Flatlined at 130, and that was good. That was about where it went on every single pole. Let's take a look at the other poles. So that was the first pole, right? So that's non-heat soaked. Take a look at this one right here. Same thing. 97 degrees, IAT starting, 50 miles an hour, hit it. See, it flatlines right around that 130, flatlines, and then it started to come up just a little bit to 140. Almost to 140, hits 140 at 140 miles an hour. Right there. So, that's looking pretty good. All right, well, you might ask, we did multiple hits. Let's check the third hit. Third hit, 100 degrees, rises, flatlines a little bit at 133, comes up, and also it recovers very quickly. Let's go back over here. This yellow line right here is our IAT. You can see it goes down to 97 at one point. Our max we hit on that whole drive was 144. That is looking awesome. This is also our scale right here. That's our IATs. You can see first hit, best advantage, but the two hits right after that, they were pretty soon, back to back, and those lines look pretty dang similar. I'd love to get a full quarter mile pass to get an apples to apples comparison, but so far this is looking awesome.